Hello everyone and welcome back to AustinPlus Commentary, where today we've got a pretty interesting question, shall we say. Is the Transformers franchise dying or still a baby? Now, I use the term "is it still a baby" quite loosely because I will say this now, no. But the Transformers franchise is constantly readjusting itself and going back to square one. So it's basically growing and then going back to number one, growing. It's weird. But I thought we'd answer that question, go through all of the movies that we had over a course of a decade, the animated ones, the animated shows, and if we can expect anything from this new G.I. Joe Transformers franchise. So, let's get into it. Between 2007 and 2017, exactly a decade, there was 5 movies released in regards to Transformers. These movies were good and very well, but they were good up until that point. And these movies were great. The designs, the adaptations of each of these characters, they were amazing. I think the first movie was the best, Transformers 1, and Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction were probably the second best. I fight between the two because I love the Age of Extinction, mainly because of the dinosaurs. But the last one didn't hit as well. I know it was supposed to serve a lot more importance, but it just didn't. This is another reason that they stopped making these movies, because they were good up until that point, but even though they had planned to do a Unicron collection of movies after The Last Night, because obviously the character like Quintessa leaked or led up to that. So, but they had never ended up doing that. With the Transformers franchise, you have to think about it. These movies are what started the whole glory of the Transformers franchise. With they started as toys and they started as TV shows, but then they weren't directly connected to the Transformers franchise in the live action sense. But they still serve as important, and they obviously have more opportunity to make more of a storyline that I think the live-action movies should use in the future, along with the say the animal ones, the animal bots and the Grimlock and all that. I think you should use them, bring your own thing to it, but still take after that. That is reason why I think Age of Extinction was so good, because no one knew who Lockdown was. Crosshairs is arguably my favorite because of the green aesthetic, and Drift was obviously, he's a Bugatti, so yeah, he's just cool on on his own. But going back to that, Transformers animated movies, they use some of these characters, such as Ratchet, such as Wheelie and RC and Sentinel Prime. All of these things came together and made such a good storyline, and that is why I think if the live action things use that, it would go on for a lot longer. There was actually only one solo project that came out, along with Transformers 1 that released last year, but I wouldn't call that a solo project. But Bumblebee came out a year after the conclusion of The Last Night to set some sort of background, and it was a good movie because it introduced a backstory to some of these characters. That is where I think Transformers Transformers Rise of the Beast did well as well, because it did introduce a new range of characters with a certain backstory. Now, onto this new franchise that we are supposed to get, is that now this Transformers G.I. Joe thing, this movie was good until the very end. I was so confused because it didn't make sense to me, because I think Transformers should be its own thing. Don't get me wrong, I do know in the comics that Transformers and the G.I. Joe did come together, but I think Transformers should still be its own thing. This movie did present a new type of Transformers, such as the animals, and it presented more of a backstory to them and the Autobots, which I also think this movie has real potential in terms of extending a storyline, because they treated Unicron as if it was like Galactus, an amazing thing to do. So, does the Transformers movies have a future? I still say yes, because while I'm curious to see what happens with this G.I. Joe thing, it did happen to reach novelization, which as I said. So maybe in this way, it is resurrecting 2 presumed dead franchises, but the one I'm focusing on now is definitely Transformers. But I think Transformers would do fine on its own, as evidenced by the last movies, but I guess we shall see. I wouldn't say it's dying or that it's still a baby, it's just going through many evolutions. But without further ado, everyone, that is the end of today's video. I do hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe and comment what else you would like to see on the channel. And without further ado, hope you have an amazing day as always, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye! Yeah!